Hello there. Wanted to talk a little bit about this week and last week, some of the topics that we've talked about and what we're going to be learning about and talking about this week. So last week you got a really good overview of domestic violence. You learned about some of the important landmark pieces of legislation and other information in Roberts in the preface. And then also in Roberts, the first reading, you learned about some myths and stereotypes and which ones were accurate and which ones were not. So that was a nice introduction to this issue as well. There are a lot of myths and stereotypes out there about domestic violence, and it's important to know which ones are accurate and which ones aren't so that you can start educating people about domestic violence. In fact, that's one of the things that that's mentioned in Roberts, and it's also mentioned in the article that I wrote for one of the readings this week, is that we really need to educate ourselves and educate the public on issues of domestic violence. So as you go through this course, you'll be able to know more about the underpinnings of domestic violence, and soon we'll be learning about some theories on domestic violence, why it occurs, and why men batter later on. And so it's really important to have a good understanding and a good overview of this public and social problem. So just talking for a moment about VAWA, the Violence Against Women Act, which you'll be learning about thoroughly from the article, the manuscript that I wrote, and also from going to the website. You'll learn various pieces from the National Organization for Women website, the background, and then you can also read each act, each part of the act on the right side of that first page. I cannot impress upon you how important the passage of VAWA was. Because the federal government passed this piece of legislation, and the whole history of what it took to get it passed, having a federal piece of legislation like the VAWA passed means that this is a social problem that is recognized at the highest levels of government. And it makes certain resources and training and other provisions available for people so that people can become educated about it, especially important for judges and lawyers, not to mention people who work with others on a client professional level, such as nurses, social workers, anybody in any field really needs to know about this issue. But that VAWA was passed on a federal level meant that it was finally, domestic violence and sexual assault were finally recognized as major social problems that need to be addressed. So a huge number of people and a lot of money and work went into getting this piece of legislation passed. And then, as I mentioned in the manuscript that you read for this week, a lot of things were learned from the first VAWA, and so improvements were made on the second one. So we continue to learn from research, from gathering data and evidence, and understanding more about this issue. So you'll be getting a pretty good overview of VAWA, and then we'll be able to have a good understanding of what that piece of legislation is about, and who it does and who it doesn't support. Interestingly enough, it does support men as victims as well as women. But there are some gaps and some things that we still need to be addressing, such as quote-unquote illegal immigrants. It's very difficult, even though there is information in VAWA to help illegal immigrants who are in violent situations, relationships. How do you educate and inform women and men who are in that situation that there is help available? It's a really problematic area. So, we continue to look at that, how to best support victims in that capacity. So, encourage you to read through all of the provisions of the Act and respond to the discussion questions about them. I want to reiterate that the discussion questions are the heart of this course. That's where I expect you to devote most of your time and energy to really think about these questions, answer them with lengthy answers, and with information from your readings to support your answers, not merely your opinions, although certainly your opinions are welcome and invited, as well as any work experience that you have. So make sure you include and cite your support and references. And if you don't know the answer to some part of a question, or if a question comes up for you, I encourage you to do some research about it. The National Organization for Women has some good resources, as well as other websites that I list in the syllabus, so utilize those as outside pieces of information. So I look forward to reading your answers, and let me know if this short video clip was helpful for you, and if you'd like for me to include anything else in these videos. And see you in cyber world. Aloha, have a great week. Oh, and another reminder, get started on your research project. As I mentioned in week 4, the most common feedback I get from students is that they wish they had started earlier. So you need to be contacting and talking to people in the field, as well as doing research on funding and things like that. So get started on that. Do not wait. Alright, I'll look forward to reading your answers, and make sure if you do have questions, you post them in the student questions area of the discussion board. Alright, see you soon.